In today's interest rate markets, let's take a look at the 10-year note futures as they're experiencing a little selling pressure today. We're seeing them down now 3 out of the last 4 trading sessions. And today's price action is pushing them back down towards the low end of the range for the contract when you look at the June contract, but also the low end of the range for the futures market going back to May of 2019 when you look at the lead month future. So looking at 122.28 in the June contract right now. And I think when you look at some of the reasons why we're seeing this selling pressure persist a little bit more today after yesterday, a little bit of a relief bounce. A couple things. One, the narrative coming out of the Fed continues to be very hawkish, and the discussions continue to point towards a more aggressive move in May and potentially even in June now. And the market, I think, is adjusting for that, continues to adjust. Couple that with the rotation trade today. I think we're seeing a rotation trade. Yesterday, we did see some selling pressure in the equities, and I think that's why we did see a little bit of buying pressure in the interest rate environment, fixed income environment, and the treasuries. Today, we're seeing markets recovering nicely, and with that, I think that's why we're seeing this rotation trade out of fixed income and into equity exposure. So I think those two dynamics are playing out here today as to why we're seeing a little bit of selling pressure. Now, when you look at the yields, the 10-year note yield is up 3 basis points on the session. We're looking at 235 basis points for the yield on the 10-year today. And the other interesting dynamic today is a flattening of the yield curve. We're seeing that starting to flatten a little bit more again today, with the front end selling off more so, pushing those yields higher. Now, the back end of the curve, when you look at the 20s and the 30s, we're actually seeing yields coming down on those longer dated treasuries today. So a little bit of buying pressure there and a little upside action in the 20s and 30s. But when you get to the 10s, as I mentioned, we're seeing a little bit of selling pressure persistent as we move up on the curve, or the shorter dated end of the curve, even more selling pressure, pushing those yield higher and flattening the curve more today.